Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Sudhir Gajre. I'm head of GenAI at Lovelytics. Today, I have with me Andrew Cron, managing director on the Blackstone Operating Team, where he assists portfolio companies in leveraging data and AI. Andrew, welcome, and thank you so much for your time.
It's great to be here. You all have been excellent partners, so I'm always happy to chat.
Thank you. It's a perfect backdrop having this conversation on AI, about AI at the summit. Before we jump into AI, tell us a little bit about your role. Tell us a little bit about Blackstone and the portfolio companies it has.
100%. So I'm in the Blackstone Operating Team. So we, as you probably know, invest in a very wide variety of companies. But if there's one common theme is that there are, well, of course, many operating opportunities in these companies, but one of the most emerging and important is AI. And I work with the leadership primarily and the tech teams of those portfolio companies to help them align AI to their strategy, think about how they should execute, talent, and of course, partners in technology.
That's very interesting, and in fact, rather unique because most of the leaders I talk to in the AI space, they are very industry focused.
Right.
They are very focused within their organization, which is awesome because within the organization there are many challenging problems.
Yep.
However, you truly bring a very unique perspective in the sense that you oversee portfolio companies across various different industries.
Yes.
Which is very different and rather unique. So let me ask you about that. In your experience, what separates companies that are generating meaningful business value compared to those that are still stuck in experimentation with AI?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've actually distilled this into principles. So I'll be a little bit repetitive in this probably because we really have boiled down some principles that we think are very important. But we think to get transformational value from AI. So we first of all differentiate between like a percentage point here and there in value and a meaningful change in your business.
Right.
And in the meaningful change, it's not just about the tech, it's about a top-down focus on a specific measurable domain of the business that you intend to upend, and it is a core part of your strategy. And upend can be, still should be very positive, right? But AI is extremely disruptive, and
That's right.
trying to do it on the edges, I think, leads to disappointing results, or this kind of bottoms up. Let's just see where people want to use AI versus saying, this is the part of my business that is very important to me. This is one of the biggest value levers in my business. And I think that there's an opportunity to completely transform how we work. When you have this top-down focus and accountability, which I'm sure we'll talk about more, that's where you see the companies that are really delivering.
So you really think AI is truly transformational, a very strategic type of capability,
Yes.
and you really want to leverage it for significant business impact.
Yes.
Very focused, double down and solve some big business problems. That's really awesome. Speaking of which, and transformational impact, the technology has been changing. Just in the last 3 years, there has been tremendous progress. Large language model, the capabilities are tremendously increasing. Harnesses, context, Databricks as a platform, so on and so forth. Given that, have you seen any shift in conversations around AI in the boardrooms and in the executive ranks?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a massive shift. Everything from just awareness to now every single boardroom is talking about AI to some degree. I would say that's even maybe last year's state of play, just everyone talking about it. Now, I think you can almost bifurcate it into two groups. Yeah. There's boards, companies that have acted and spent a lot of time and effort and money, and it's about realizing the value. I think we're very much at the companies that are the furthest along at the scaling phase. So the board is very much at how do we get adoption, change management, really get to that full implementation and realization. And those that are maybe more starting, the conversation isn't about if we should invest. It's about how do we invest, where do we invest, where do we start? It's becoming very action oriented.
That is very interesting. So in your opinion, the experimentation phase is clearly over now. and companies
so.
are truly thinking about scaling and realizing the business impact. It's no longer optional or experimental, is what you're observing.
I very rarely chat with a company, and my suggestion being you should just start experimenting with AI.
Yeah.
It's let's look at where the value can be driven.
Yes, that's really awesome. So perfect segue in my next question. When you chat with your portco companies,
Yep.
where do you typically start with the AI journey? I'm sure you have some companies who are still at the very early adoption curve of AI. How do you guide them? What is sort of the advice you give to start this journey in an effective manner?
Yeah, absolutely. You probably look at this in two buckets again. I think there is many of our employees want to use AI. So how do we enable them?
Right.
There's that conversation. That tends to be much more with IT and focused on, look, you need to get a license. You need to have governance. It's kind of the basics. On the transformation side, which is where I spend most of my time, it can be a little counterintuitive, but I start with the CEO or CFO or COO usually. And even though eventually we get to AI, my approach isn't, let's talk about AI.
Yeah.
My approach is, what are the three biggest value drivers in your business? What are the biggest cost areas, the biggest growth areas? What are your biggest pain points?
Yeah.
Now let's talk about which of those can be dramatically either accelerated or improved or what have you, kind of depends on the use case with AI. And then we work backwards into what needs to be true from data, technology, talent, and change management. Instead of starting with this is what AI can do, let's see where it fits.
Yeah.
It's, look, what is it that you're trying to get done? And let's figure out how to get it done better, faster, cheaper.
Kind of reading between the lines, I almost sense, Andrew, that you've kind of developed this mental framework on how to use AI as an effective technology, right? You said kind of those three pillars, right? The value drivers, your cost, your revenue generators, your biggest opportunities. And then you kind of distill that down to use cases and then use technology to kind of drive and really have that business value. That's really good. And I think, do you believe having a structured, methodical approach, a framework-based approach like that will take you a lot farther than just randomly picking use cases and experimenting with it?
Yes. And another benefit that we more uniquely have at Blackstone is we are able to look across our portfolio and basically do pattern recognition, right?
Yes.
Now, on the one hand, the companies are very different, and some are extremely unique use cases, but others we can say we've seen this before.
Right.
This is what another company is doing. This is the technology they're using, the vendors that they're working with. Once we get to the use cases, so there's that side, and again, there's also the framework that I think is even more important for how should you be thinking about the AI transformation. And we do use that language intentionally because this isn't a technology project as much as it, of course, technology is a massive component,
right?
But it is a change management. Sits just as much in the office of, this is a chief transformation officer. It's the transformation officer, the COO, someone like that, who really bears the brunt of the work in total.
Right. So it's technology, change management, business processes, all of that included to have a very effective approach towards AI.
Yeah.
So having said that, speaking of which, is there a base set of capabilities? And the capabilities can be on the technology side, they can be on the business side that need to be in place for an organization before they jump into the AI journey?
Yes, I think so. Of course, we often will start these in parallel. While you're looking at strategy, you can think about the basic building blocks. The reason I hesitate, so I will go back to the building blocks. I'll pivot for half a second. The reason I hesitate is I think some companies can get too obsessed with the building blocks. And we're at Databricks. Let's use the data as an example. Get stuck with, let's make the data perfect. And we have this 2-year roadmap just to get the data warehouse pristine.
Yes.
And while we do need data foundations, I am hesitant to say, well, the first thing you should do is tackle data before we handle the strategy, because what we're really trying to do is pull the thin slice through the entire stack.
Right.
And so that stack, of course, is data and governance are the most critical foundations, governance for both AI and your data. Then, of course, measurement, especially in the world of GenAI, is extremely important. Having a framework for being able to say how well your models are working, I think, is an area that some companies may trip up.
Yeah. Yes.
And then, of course, thinking through as the technology is maturing, who on the business stakeholder side is going to be accountable for feedback, for ideation, for testing, and then, of course, adoption and value realization. Those are the key pillars that we identify.
So really model observability, human feedback, having that almost sort of like a circular loop back to make those models and AI systems better is sort of what you see.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely
you need it
key.
to build trust.
Yes. Yeah. Trust, the foundation layers and all of that.
Yeah.
Given that we are here at the Databricks Data and AI Summit, maybe an apt question to ask is, what do you think the role of a modern data and AI platform in enabling AI? How has that been useful to you?
I think on the one hand, every company is very unique, but on the other hand, we can't just reinvent the wheel every time. And we kind of just went over them, but there are some common components that are not easy to do and are extremely important. And of course, the LLMs themselves, the machine learning models, those are very important, and those have to work well. But having governance, security, observability, cost control is not easy to do yourself.
Yes.
And I think that's where the modern AI platform isn't just making it easier to build, which is, of course, extremely important, but it's making it easier to trust. And I think you need both. Or when you have both, that's where you really get the acceleration from a platform.
That's right. And in the keynote this morning, Ali mentioned exactly those pillars, right? Cost,
That's
control, quality, and ability to customize, control, all those types of things. So that absolutely kind of resonates and makes sense. And my next question, which is kind of answered. So you would think those are some of the essential things one should look at if they are pivoting or trying to figure out the best data and AI platform for their organizations.
Yes. And then, of course, there's more mechanical things. You've always got, integration, cost, what you already have.
Yeah.
Those are kind of table stakes, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any specific examples where Databricks and the partner ecosystem, like players like us, have really made a difference? The platform value plus the partner value coming together truly made a difference in any of your projects and any of your portfolio companies?
Yeah, of course. I think, it kind of goes back to that common theme. I think there's two areas. One is, of course, pace. Having a very good platform, of course, Databricks being one of them, and having partners that know that platform extremely well gives you pace. And again, it's the same thing we said before, but it gives you pace and trust, right? Because you want to know that you've picked a good platform, then you want to know that you've set it up according to reference architecture best practices. And when you have a partner that can do that for you quickly, and then I think the other piece that great partners like yourselves have done with our companies is also upskilling the company at the same time. So if you have a partner that comes in, and even if they build the best possible solution, but I need them forever, I become dependent, I don't really know how to run this thing myself, I think the company's done a disservice. And I think the best partners like Lovelytics also upskill the company, and they become more and more proficient on their own. And then you play the tape forward a couple of years, and you've created yet another great data and AI organization.
That's a very good and compelling point. So you're looking in partners who are just not purely technically savvy,
right?
Technical competence, industry knowledge, and most important, being a true partner, right? Empowering your teams, upskilling them, doing the knowledge transition along the way are some of the
strategy. Ideally, someone like myself isn't having to get in the mix and play translator between the business stakeholder and the tech teams. Ideally, they also are able to engage in the business strategy. And really, sometimes you do need just strictly technical, hired hands, and that is important. But I think our best partners are really, as we were just saying, are really delivering on all those.
It's probably the true definition of partnership.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's pivot a little bit to use cases. And again, as I said earlier, you bring a very unique point of view over here, since you oversee and have the experience with a lot of these different types of companies, manufacturing, financial services, whatnot. Are you seeing a horizontal set of use cases which are impactful today in AI, irrespective of the industry?
Maybe not completely irrespective of the industry, but yes, we're seeing some emerging themes. I don't think any of these will be big surprises, but back offices are pretty similar to each other, right? And a CFO will watch this and disagree, but there are these back office heavy document and contract heavy workflows that I still don't think it's quite out of the box here. Just install this widget, but there's similar workflows.
That's right.
And I think finding a partner that's done it before can then build something bespoke to you, because your processes may still be different, but much faster. The other, of course, there's software development, right? And in fact, I actually don't work with very many software development companies across the portfolio, but so those are kind of a given, right? So let's set them aside, and then the other is anything that requires a large degree of, I guess I'd call it knowledge discovery. So of course, customer support, I would say, is the most obvious one, but it doesn't just have to be that. Sales can also be another really excellent one. But somewhere where you have an enormous amount of documented knowledge, and maybe even need to have more of it and have a cleaner set of documented knowledge, is just more and more ubiquitous.
No, I completely agree with you. That's been our observation as well, working with many different customers, is back offices are very similar. And there are so many workflows that start with a PDF document or set of documents. And, it's been great to know that Databricks is investing a lot in all the AI parse document functions and the AI extract functions and all of that, which we have leveraged quite a bit for solving these. Unstructured document processing is still a very hard problem to solve. But we are, very impressed with what Databricks is building along those capabilities and can help us solve those hard problems. Pivoting from use cases to ROI. Of course, ROI is important, and every leadership would like to get some value back in terms of hard dollars to implement any technology. Having said that, given that AI is so new, do you think, what are some of the key criteria to measure ROI? Is it just simply hard dollars, or do you think there are some intangibles that should go in this equation as well, given it is a new and emerging technology?
I guess the ultimate answer is yes, and that there are intangibles. I think again, you have to go back to those two buckets of, AI enablement for your entire, let's say, a large percentage of your workforce, versus transformative use cases that are leveraging AI. And the transformative use cases, I would say, that's likely, especially once you account for all of the, I know, saying it over and over, but once you account for all the change management and business process transformation, if one can't measure that, then they probably should not do it yet. They should think about how they measure their processes as is before they undertake something so disruptive. So I almost think of that as a criteria. In fact, it is one of our criteria when we talk about AI transformation is, are there measurable outcomes for the particular area that you're focused on in the first place? If not, that becomes one of the, initial steps. With broader AI enablement, there are absolutely intangibles. And so, you look at proxies like usage. I do still encourage leadership at companies to identify use cases, build almost mini, it's not quite proof of concepts, but it's little demos or training, or maybe it's skills if it's Claude or something like this,
Right.
and actually go show their workforce how to handle specific use cases, because those you might have a better chance of measuring as well.
I see. So are there any specific non-financial indicators that you look at when you try to assess the impact of AI, either individual productivity or enterprise level use cases?
No, not really. No surprise. But there's probably some exception that I'm not thinking of at the moment, but
Right.
we really do try to sit with it and really try to think hard about like what it can be like downstream, but what is the ultimate financial or operational metric? But an operational metric would almost immediately go to a financial metric, right? So
Right.
what are those operational metrics
And financial metrics
that you're
how do you
gonna
calculate
affect?
Sure. No, that makes sense. Pivoting to a slightly different topic now, AI is a very hard problem to solve. We discussed that having a very capable platform, Databricks as an example, is very helpful. In addition to that, what about the partner ecosystem? How do you feel about partners playing a big role in helping companies like Blackstone solve some of these very big AI problems?
Partners are absolutely a huge part of our strategy. So if you set aside the digital native companies, who also, by the way, do use a lot of partners as
Yes.
well,
Yeah.
but even beyond that, our non-digital native companies, we heavily encourage and value great partners. It's just building the core competencies internally is of course very doable, and it should also be worked on, but the pace at which we need to move to realize value from AI, just you just don't have time to staff up and learn
Absolutely.
internally. So you have to be able to, often there's a hybrid approach. You still may hire a few key people internally right out of the gate,
Yeah.
but you've got to have great partners to help with pace, best practices, and even upskilling. And I mean, obviously you all have been a great partner. The companies that have worked with you all have been very, very happy. And you can also look across Blackstone more broadly, and it's pretty clear that we are leaning heavily into the partner motion.
Absolutely. No, and we tremendously appreciate the partnership. And partnership is always a two-way street. It's always a pleasure working with you. You've come with a very clear idea, very clear definition of value, what we really need to achieve, how quickly we need to achieve, and the speed of execution, the value we can bring. A lot of times the industry experience we can bring in solving those similar problems with other customers, I'm sure, also helps. So I think, it's been a wonderful conversation. I want to thank you for your time. One last question for the CEOs and the boards who are watching this conversation. Any specific advice you would give them from an overall AI enablement perspective with where we are today in technology?
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty common with some themes I already mentioned, but I would say, maybe I'll put it this way. I think there's like two common pitfalls when you're thinking about getting value from AI. I think, and it's kind of crazy to say at a Databricks conference, but I think the tendency is to spend too much time thinking about the technology and how much to invest and how long that part's going to take. Of course, that is super important.
Right.
But not investing enough time in how you're actually going to transform your business. And that requires investment even before you engage, sometimes before you engage the technology partners, and absolutely investment as you engage and start to scale. And so if I was a board or a CEO, I would be thinking about how do I make sure I'm investing in the entire business transformation process and not just the technology.
I think that is super important. The technology is just a means to an end. The cultural change, the business processes, the overall business transformation is equally important, or perhaps even more important.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure, and thank
Always
you
good to see
for
you.
making the time for us.
Of course. Thanks.